Hey everyone, welcome to SpiceWorld. If you're here, you're definitely interested in learning more about our IT tools and applications. Before we dive too far into that, we're going to introduce ourselves though. So if you missed the welcome session, my name is Sean. I'm the Director of Community. And you might be asking yourself, what is the Director of Community doing here in an IT tools session? Actually, while I've been with Spiceworks for a long time, early this year I went from working with the product team to being part of the product team. Unfortunately, I am not the know-all and be-all of IT tools and applications, so I've got some great people to help me make smart decisions. First is actually someone new to Spiceworks, Siddharth.
Hi, I'm Siddharth. I recently joined Spiceworks in July. I joined the team for IT tools and applications, and seeing the user response and how customer centric and user focused products they're making, it was really an exciting opportunity for me to jump on. And it's been a amazing experience since then, building user focused products, be it the cloud help desk, be it the inventory online, and look forward to keep doing the same for you all.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben. I'm one of the engineering managers at Spiceworks. I oversee the IT Pro tools and apps, so definitely work very close hand in hand with Siddharth and with Sean, trying to make the best products that we can for you guys, things that are helpful and engaging for you guys, valuable for kind of solving your problems on a day-to-day basis. So we'll take a look here as well at some of the faces of the development team.
So for a few years now at Spiceworks, we transitioned from what you referred to as waterfall development to agile development. And one of the big changes we had there is we started building development squads. And what you'll see here are individuals from actually two different ones. We're all about fun names. So like one of our squads is named Link, the other is Cobra Kai. Sorry, I'm always going to be cheesy. And so these are the members of those teams. There's Manuel, there's Anel, Ben, Dennis, Reed, Stephanie, Ignacio, Alex, and Sergio. And they work on different parts of our IT tools and applications. Right now, what you'll hear a little bit about today and more in Siddharth and Ben's session is Cloud Help Desk. But we work on that. We work on inventory online, connectivity dashboard, vendor contracts, things like that. Oh, always a fun subject. And one of the fun things we have at SpiceWorld, historically I've been on some of these panels is, I believe it was in 2018 we stopped development on Legacy Desktop, Ben?
Yeah, 2017, 2018, that time frame is like when we were paring things down.
And for those who are unfamiliar, when we refer to Legacy Desktop, that is our old on-prem solution. Many of you will probably refer to it more as Spiceworks 7.5. And part of the reason we stopped development on it is we were transitioning, knowing that it's based on older tech stack. It was having some performance challenges. And so we started looking at building what we were referring to at the time as SpiceWorks 8.0. So 8 comes after 7, so that one makes a lot of sense. As we were going through development of it, especially a lot of that was primarily working towards the inventory version, we were just running across other challenges. And as you'll see here, some of the challenges we saw is we were already building the Cloud Help Desk. We actually started development of that back in 2014, I believe. And some of the history there is actually Cloud Help Desk was one of our internal hackathons called SpiceWorld, came up with the idea. And as we were building that, it was doing better and better. Obviously, it was on a more current code base. It was really built for scale because it was built as a cloud service. And as we were looking at some of the challenges with 8.0 and during the alpha and beta, seeing where the Cloud Help Desk was going and sort of, doing some vision casting or where we thought the industry was going, we started putting more emphasis on there and less on legacy desktop. Anything I'm missing there, Ben or Siddharth, you wanted to add in?
Pretty much good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, a lot of history kind of really decelerated around that time frame, around kind of 2018 time frame, and we started talking about that in the community, kind of letting people know that we're not putting a lot of feature work into the desktop application as things go forward, starting to transition and think differently about how we want to build the tools and where we want to make them available to you guys, largely transitioning to cloud-based.
And that's a little bit why we wanted to talk about it today. We've been posting about this in the community for years, but we know there's so many things always going on in the community. It's hard to keep up with. And every time I've gone to SpiceWorld, even when we've talked about this, we've run across members who were unaware that we put an end of development, that it's end of life. So we want to make sure we're just sort of upfront with that. A couple other things as we were preparing for the session, we were also getting ready to launch our State of IT, which I believe may be out today. If not, it's coming out during SpiceWorld. And in there, I was talking to Peter Tsai, and they've actually been getting some data points together about, what are businesses looking for when it comes to cloud. And talking to Peter Tsai, one of the interesting things he brought up is that 44% of companies currently use a cloud-based help desk, and they actually expect that adoption to grow up to 58% within the next 2 years. Granted, the pandemic has a lot to do with that. All of a sudden, everyone here all had to deal with users, and it wasn't users in the office space. Now it's users from home, users abroad. Some are now living with family members. You have, ISP challenges, remote support. And so while we were future casting back then, it's a lot of this has come true today, which is one of the reasons why we're investing so much into our cloud help desk. So, questions probably going on is, what have we been up to? While I'm recently started joining the product team and working on our IT tools, someone who hasn't is Ben, and he can tell you a little bit more about what we've been doing over the course of the last 12 months since last SpiceWorld.
Yeah, so really since the last SpiceWorld, our focus has been on the Cloud Help Desk product. So future-proofing it, really bringing it forward kind of a couple of years in terms of both the experience that it provides you guys, so kind of the web front end, but also on the back end. So, things like the performance of the application, with an eye on, or with the intent of expanding the feature set, so making it more attractive for more of you, and as a result, enabling you guys to migrate over from the desktop application to the Cloud Help Desk and to Inventory Online, as we see end of life coming, just like Sean was just talking about for that desktop application. So I'd say that it's a little bit of a split focus. We care a lot about our users of the desktop application and trying to do as much as we can to allow them to move over and get off of our legacy application as that kind of chapter comes to a close. But also keeping a close eye on, like Sean said, what the future holds, how we need to be designing products as things go on. And so I think you'll see that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we transition into next year and shift our focus from, we've done a lot of things to help enable migration. Now let's continue to do that, but also enable new users of the application to come on board and find the features that they need in terms of the help desk and also with the inventory. So that's where this kind of splits up a little bit. You've got things like migration of your devices from the inventory part of the desktop application over to Inventory Online. So for those of you that maybe haven't checked out the Inventory Online application, migration right now just looks like deploying the agent. So the Inventory Online application has a universal agent. We call it the collection agent. And you can use any number of deployment systems or deployment software solutions, some of them free and some of them paid. We have partners for some of those things to allow you to easily deploy that agent software. It's just an MSI installer package. So once that's out and running on devices on your network, they dump all of their information up into the Inventory Online application. So as far as setup and configuration goes, there's not a lot of the complexities that you would have been familiar with the desktop application. You just get the agent out there, which in itself is a little bit of effort up front, but once that's done, those devices will show up automatically. So that's what migration looks like for Inventory Online. As far as over the last year, that's largely unchanged. We haven't done a lot of work. There haven't been changes to the agent. It's very stable. We've noticed an increasing number of people using it and an increasing number of agents being deployed out there, and that those are continuing to consistently check in and update the device information in the Inventory Online application for you. So that one's in a great state right now. And then on the Cloud Help Desk side, like I talked briefly about there just a second ago, we've been putting a lot of effort into the new front-end framework that we're using to deliver features to you guys, and we'll get into those details here in just a few minutes. And then scaling up of the kind of high-impact features. we'll get into some of those details. And we'll kind of list the specifics of what those features were and what we changed and how that looks and stuff like that. And then, I just mentioned a minute ago, both front end but also back end. And so if you come to the Cloud Help Desk deep dive session, we'll get into some of the details of some of those performance implications and how we've improved the reliability and the speed of the application over the last year. So I was going to talk through some of our approach to kind of how we choose which features to build and which specific things that we want to implement based on feature requests from you guys.
Sure. Thanks, man. So since I joined Spiceworks, my primary focus has been to build user-focused products and kind of to cater to the demands of the users. So on the right, you'll see some of the top requested features by our users since the last SpiceWorld. And we have actually implemented all of these. So basically, you guys asked and we have delivered to your point, be it the advanced Power BI reporting, the built-in reporting, the whole user portal revamp. And also, since we are in the development of the alpha staging of the mobile apps, as well as the desktop browser ticket view. So it's really nice that we could knock off some of the highly requested features by you guys so that it enables getting more users as well as giving satisfaction to our current users as well.
You'll notice that dropped in that little icon there at the top is just kind of a reminder, a visual for you guys. This discussion right now about feature requests and kind of getting feedback from you guys out there as you're using the applications, that's central to kind of how we direct the future of the products at any given time. We're constantly reevaluating that. And so as you see that little icon, that little hand icon there kind of towards the top throughout, just take that as a reminder for yourself. These are places where we want you to give us feedback. That could be today, that could be in the Q&A session at the end of our presentation, or that could be the next few days as you go check out the applications, or that could be in the next couple months as maybe you receive survey requests from us about, tell us how things are going with your migration if you're a desktop user, or tell us more about how you're using the application if maybe you're new to it today.
And just real quick on that, for those of you I'd love to submit a feature request or add one in. The easiest way to find them actually is just go to /support in the Spiceworks community. Into the right rail, you'll actually see one of the callouts to feature requests. These feature requests, are very beneficial to us because it gives us some concrete data. We hear a lot of it in the topics, and many of you email us, but getting the votes on here is actually really, really important.
So we'll be talking about what we have been doing in the Cloud Help Desk since last SpiceWorld and what major changes and updates we have brought to the Cloud Help Desk. So can we have the next slide? Yeah. So currently we are doing the alpha testing of the Help Desk app for mobile, iOS and Android, and a revamped desktop browser ticket view. You'll see some of the snippets we have for you guys. I'm really excited to share this with you all because it's still a bit in testing stage, but we are really excited to launch it for you guys really soon. So let's have a look at some of the snippets that we have. So this is the new mobile app for the iPhone. It's a whole new look with push notifications and many other features which were highly requested by our users. So pretty excited for this to come up, and it's in alpha testing right now. So we'll have the beta versions as well soon. So this is the Android version of it. You can see like this similar sort of outlook as well. Then can we have the next slide? Yeah.
Actually, if we can stay on this one real quick, one other thing I just want to point out is, those of you who've been around for a while, we actually had to put an announcement out early this year talking about the deprecation of our mobile apps. And part of the reason we did that is because we knew there were updates coming from specifically iOS, but also Android that was going to break the old one. The fun fact is, I think that was supposed to happen on March 31st, and yet mine still works today. But we know sooner or later that is going to break.
If you come to the Cloud Help Desk deep dive session, we'll talk a little bit more about it. But one of the key kind of foundational parts of the mobile application, whether it's for Android or iOS, was our work over the past year redesigning the front end for the tickets experience, kind of the main part of the Cloud Help Desk application. And that's what's being leveraged here in the iOS and Android applications. So it's allowed us to move very quickly to bring these new generation of mobile applications to alpha testing. And we're going to continue to kind of use that model going forward, this kind of hybrid model of mixing native functionality, so code that is specific to iOS and Android, mixing it with web functionality that is universal. So you'll see a very similar look between the iOS and Android applications, and actually a third area, which is if you just access the Cloud Help Desk from your mobile device using a browser. So that's one of the ways that we've been able to move quickly and bring this to alpha testing. And so what you can see here is just this giant arrow here is just pointing to the settings area of the existing application. So for those of you that have been using the Cloud Help Desk, this is what you're very familiar with. This is the tickets view that you've got today. If you click on settings, you can go to the general settings view here, and that's where you'll get access to toggle on the alpha experience, so you can check out the new experience. I don't know, Siddharth, if you want to talk a little bit more about the alpha.
Yeah, exactly. So we have been working on the new alpha experience for the desktop ticket view rewrite of lately, and with the new one, you'll have the toggle features as well as a whole new ticket view layout. So this basically organizes things for you in a better way, and also we're in the alpha stage of it right now, but once we through the sprint of it, you'll definitely see some major upgrades with the ticket view rewrite we have been currently working on.
One of the main reasons for this, you may be asking, hey, why are you rewriting this? And for us, one of the things we haven't done as well historically is having a responsive web design. We know that, many of you are accessing this from your desktop, but also laptops, from smartphones, from tablets. And so by having responsive web design, we can sort of have this morph to whatever device you're working on, but instead of building 4 or 5 different code versions of it, it's a single one that gives you the best of both worlds. And that way, when I'm on my smartphone or on my desktop, I sort of have the same feature set. It's not like I have to learn something brand new just because I'm using a mobile device.
Yeah, I think it's a really important point, Sean, because like we've talked about already, we want y'all's feedback on this stuff. So consider that, like Sean said, multiple device form factors. If you're using a smaller laptop when you're on the go, if you're using a larger screen when you're at your desk, if you're using a tablet, those sorts of things, we want to hear from you guys about, hey, this would be really great for me on my tablet, but this little area doesn't work right. I can't access this button, or something's not displaying properly. Let us know about those things. It should be working that way for you guys. And Siddharth was just talking about the overlay here. This is kind of the main view. There's also what we've got for you today, just in that alpha testing version, is the ability to create new tickets. So you've got the ability to view your existing tickets. You can change your views. So right now you're looking at the open tickets view. You can create tickets as well. And we'll go into more details on this in the deep dive session, in the Cloud Help Desk session.
This year we were primarily focusing on user portal reporting, mobile browser ticket web view. We've been researching the V2 for each as well. So we have the alpha for the mobile apps as well as for the desktop browser ticket view, and you'll soon have the beta version for the mobile as well as the desktop browser ticket view, as we explained through the snippets earlier. So pretty in a really good progress stage regarding the Cloud Help Desk as well as the mobile apps. And stressing on Ben's point earlier, like we would love to hear it from you all, because all of this is fresh. Like we're just putting it out for you guys. So the more you guys use it, the more feedback we get, the more we'll be able to improve it a lot more.
That's hopefully something you're going to see from us more often. One of the challenges we had previously, and why we've sort of put a bigger focus on our cloud tools, is we were supporting so many different applications. When we launch a new version, it was hard to come back around to that in a timely manner. If we put out a new ticket view, we may not be able to come back to that for another year or so. And so the practice we're trying to get in now is, let's put out an MVP or a version 1. Let's let that bake, get user feedback, and start prepping for that next version of it. Taking the feedback we see from people, whether it's through support tickets, feature requests, and then keep iterating on that. I mean, that's sort of the whole point of Agile is, you keep taking user feedback and improving upon it. One of the things while we're talking about this, I'm always full of terrible analogies, as Ben and Siddharth can tell you. And one of my terrible analogies is I like to build our plans with Play-Doh. And the reason for that is, obviously we're not as smart today as we're going to be 30 days from now. And so this is sort of our North Star, the ways we're focused, but we also want to be agile enough, I'm throwing the buzzwords out, agile enough to make, transitions. If we say, hey, maybe we want to do V2 of the dashboard or activity features, and we're planning that from 90 days, maybe 160 days from now. But as we get closer to that, we may realize, hey, here's a feature request that our members and our users have really been glomming behind. It's going to make a bigger impact if we work on that sooner. So, this way, if we're building Play-Doh, we can start transitioning those. Now, granted, the closer those dates become, a little bit more of that Play-Doh turns into cement. Like we already know what we're doing next week. That's probably not changing. But 30 days from now, 90 days, 120 days, so on and so forth. The further we're looking out, the more that may change when we get there. While we put a lot of focus on Cloud Help Desk, one of our other primary flagships is Inventory Online.
We've spent just a little bit of time over this summer putting in place an integration with EMA, or the management kind of dashboard or management interface for vPro technology.
Ben, what is Intel EMA?
Yeah.
What's that stand for?
Oh, well, the acronym is actually Endpoint Management Assistant. And it's like a next generation thing from Intel for making use of the hardware that's in a lot of devices out there to provide really advanced remote administration kind of tool sets. So the hardware is vPro hardware. So some of your devices, if you buy them from major vendors, will have vPro actually on that Intel sticker, signifying like which, is it an i5, i7, i9 core. Does it have vPro technology? So I think a lot of folks, and kind of over the years, my experience has been a lot of folks are kind of unaware of what that is and what that can be used for. And then as Intel has made changes over the years as well, they've brought this new cloud-based solution for remote management to market. That's what EMA is. So anyways, it's starting to sound like a commercial for them, but it really is important to kind of describe like kind of how the technology works and what the acronyms are in order to understand what you can do with it. So vPro is the hardware. That's what's like in your laptops and your workstations as we talk about this functionality. And then the management software is something that Intel's built. That's called EMA Server. You host that somewhere, so you can host it on your own cloud provider if you use Azure, AWS, what have you. Or you can host it if you've got physical hardware in an office somewhere, wherever you want to. You run EMA Server, and then it serves as a central repository for collecting information about those devices where you have configured the vPro technology. And so that's what enables you to do that remote administration. So you do some configuration, they call it provisioning. vPro is now set up on those devices, and then you're able to access and remotely administer them using EMA Server, which is like a web console. So in order to get all that kind of set up and working, and also to help you guys understand, can I do this, and on how many devices can I do this, we've created this integration. So the Spiceworks Inventory Online product has the built-in ability. You don't have to do any work. There's no configuration or setup necessary to discover this new information about your devices. You just you can go right now, go look in the Inventory Online application, and there's a new column in the device inventory table. So you'll see like your IP addresses and all the stuff that you're familiar seeing, the device name and those sorts of things. And now there's a new column in there for Intel EMA or Intel vPro. So you'll see some devices will show an unknown status, indicating that we're not sure whether they support vPro, and some devices will show a vPro capable status. So that's our way of informing you that you've got the hardware already available. So there's nothing that you need to pay for at this point in order to make use of this technology. All you have to do is go set up the EMA Server, which is free, just like the Spiceworks Inventory Online product is. Once you've got EMA Server set up, there's some configuration that you do to what they call provision the device. Once the device is provisioned, now you can access and remotely administer that device using Intel EMA Server. And so one of the things we want to get feedback from you guys on is this valuable? Did you already know all this? This is extra information that I already know about, or is this something new to you guys that actually turns out to be something that's a powerful kind of addition to your tool belt? And then an additional piece of feedback that we'd like from you guys is we're looking towards making additional kind of further, deeper integrations with Intel EMA Server. So for example, things like potentially we could add deep linking between the device entry and Inventory Online that allows you to directly flip over into EMA server, and you can be, I'm looking at John's computer and I'm checking out his stats and I'm on a call with him or something like that, and that got a link right there. I can click directly over to Intel EMA on John's device and start a remote administration session with him. I can do screen sharing, or I can remotely reboot, or I can see the blue screen error that he's seeing from Windows. To help kind of step through the motions that you have to go through in order to solve those problems. So anyway, that's what this kind of diagram kind of shows. That's the relationship here. So as long as you've got the inventory online application set up and you're using the agent, which is the central core to the application, that's how you use Spiceworks Inventory Online. We'll do that detection for you and let you know if you've got a vPro capable device. And then you can go through the steps of provisioning the Intel EMA agent and provisioning the device using the Intel EMA agent. And that's what enables you to use EMA server. So you can kind of use the two pieces side by side. You can use inventory online and EMA server together. And I already mentioned it, but this is all free as long as you've got the vPro hardware available to you. And in fact, there's even some functionality that you can get out of the EMA server and using the Intel EMA agent that doesn't require vPro hardware. You just can't get the full feature set unless your hardware has vPro. So there's a lot here for you. Regardless of your the hardware that you have available on your network or the hardware that you manage.
Can you go ahead and go forward one slide, Ben?
Yeah.
One of the things as we were digging into this that I found interesting is I already knew you could control devices out of band securely, obviously. One of the big interesting things I didn't realize is not only can you do that with KVM, but you can also do some updates regardless of the power state. And that's where it's a little bit more powerful than just a regular remote support, where I can see what you're seeing on your desktop at that time. They can make updates, I believe, to the BIOS when the power is down and a couple other crazy things.
Yeah, it's really fantastic what you can do with this hardware once you've got the software side of it set up.
And that's part of why we wanted to do this this is really important, especially in today's workforce. Again, so many people are work from home or work from anywhere. I believe this was originally envisioned more for MSPs, but then there was this little thing called COVID that happened. And, while I know some people are returning back to the office, we still have a huge part of the workforce that is not doing that. And so having features and functionality such as this really helps you, address your support issues from your users a lot faster than you could. Especially when they send you a ticket saying, help, internet down, and that's all they give you. This is a way of getting more details.
We're going to add a learn more icon as well to basically feature some of the, like you can see in the snippet, there's a learn more thing where we'll add customized Spiceworks articles for users who are very new to Intel EMA, so that they can understand the functionality and like what features are out there so that you can make the best out of this integration.
We talked about a lot of things today, kind of trying to try to wrap us up here, and then also have one more little tidbit for you here at the end. So I think the high level points are that we're continuing our investment in the Cloud Help Desk and Inventory Online, and you can see more of the specifics of the Cloud Help Desk investments in the other session. We've covered a lot of the Inventory Online stuff here, so that's one of the key takeaways. Please test out the alpha versions of the iOS and Android applications, as well as the desktop browser view of the new tickets interface by going in and just going to settings and flipping that toggle on. You can do all of that stuff today, so you can get access to the iOS and Android applications, and you can get the desktop browser view by flipping that toggle on. We'll talk more about that in the Q&A session about the specifics of how you get access to iOS and Android alpha versions. So you can go check those out. So yeah, please do test those out. Give us your feedback. There's different ways you can do that. You can learn more about that in the Cloud Help Desk session. And then the third thing is, as Sean mentioned at the very beginning, we need you to prepare for the end of life of the desktop, the Cloud Help Desk and Inventory on-premise application by end of year this year. So there's lots of reasons to do that. It's coming. At this point, you've got 3 months before you're there. So go check out our migration information. That includes how you can migrate over to Cloud Help Desk. I've talked a little bit about how to do that with inventory. but also includes information about how you may be able to look for other solutions if we aren't a good fit for you as you look at the Cloud Help Desk and Inventory Online. We want you to get the best thing for you, not just our solutions. So the last thing is that, as we've been saying, and hopefully not beating the dead horse here on this, but we really do want your feedback. We want to hear more from you. SpiceWorld's a great time to do that. You're here, you're listening to us. And so what we'd like to do is maybe actually get a little bit more kind of personal, kind of intimate connection with a couple of you guys, and kind of have a session where, we sit down for 30 minutes, you talk with Siddharth, you talk with one of our designers, we get to ask you some questions, see how you use our applications, whether that be Cloud Help Desk or Inventory Online. You tell us where your pain points are, you tell us what you'd like for your environment, your personal use of the applications. Really get a lot of details from you guys. It's really good to get those one-on-one connections. So if you're interested in that, find a few slots on your calendar. That could be tomorrow, the next couple of days, that could be the next couple of weeks. Send us a few slots, just shoot us an email and let us know when you're available. And then, depending on what the response is from you guys, depending on how many are interested, we'll reply back to you if some of those time slots work out, and try to set up a session with you guys. And this is something that we'd like to do kind of on an ongoing basis, but it's especially kind of accessible, I think, to everybody, both for you and for us around the SpiceWorld timeframe.
To tack onto that, many of you are familiar with our support forums and post things there. And that's obviously helpful for us when we can consolidate that feedback. But the nice thing about doing something like this is we can do a deeper dive into your actual situation. What is it you're doing in your day-to-day? What are your major pain points? And sometimes that's hard to get across when you're writing a post or sending a message. So reaching out to us and whatever works best for you helps us set up these kind of meetings where we can do a deeper dive and understand your situation. Because believe it or not every IT pro is exactly the same. So understanding all the different situations and us able to look at it as a larger picture helps us find the holes in some of our stuff.
Yeah, well, that kind of wraps it up for our session. So we'll move on to the live Q&A part of the session. So hang out, ask us the questions that you maybe had as you were watching just this part of the session, or just maybe the stuff that you've had since last year at SpiceWorld, or what you want more details about what's coming up next over the next few months, that kind of thing.
And before you start grilling us with a billion questions, the one thing I do want to reiterate is one of the key points Ben brought up. We are actually very invested in the IT tools and applications. While it may feel a little weird because we did announce end of life, it is a legacy hardware service, and that was why. But we have developers who are working every single day on updating Cloud Help Desk, or we've got plans with Inventory Online that are ongoing now, Connectivity Dashboard, vendor contracts. What we're trying to do, and this is what you may have seen as you look at the puzzle pieces, is instead of working on too many things and spreading ourselves thin, is concentrating on a few things and doing like an A+ job on those. And that's sort of why you see some of the decisions we made over the course of this year, why they've gone that direction. And now, especially if you're out there main strike, feel free to grill away.
All right. Well, that's it. So like I said, please come ask questions. Thanks for coming to the session. Please come to our Help Desk Deep Dive session tomorrow. Otherwise, see you next time.
Wow, where to start?
Everybody.
So many questions. Let's see. We're going through some of these right now. And I know we've been trying to answer some of them between talking. But a lot of them seem to be around legacy, HDS. The one thing I do want to call out real quick while it's just top of my mind, I know there were some questions in there about Intel EMA. I wanted to point out that I think John has a session at 2:15 today that goes a little bit more into vPro and Intel EMA. So if that's something you're interested in, I would definitely recommend either checking that out today or check out the recording if you have something else going on at that time.
Yeah, John's really knowledgeable on the topic. He's the guy at Intel that we've been working really closely with for the integration. So when I have questions, I send them to John. So if he can't answer it, he'll at least know who to ask.
Hi, Main Strike. I see you out there.
Do you want to try to cover some of the questions that there have been like kind of repeat asks in slightly different ways, or?
Yeah, the
Can you
one
run
thing,
down
let
the
me just
list?
start off with real quick before we even jump into that is, I think I even saw a few members in the chat say like they didn't know about the legacy desktop announcement and the end of life and all of that going on, which is another reason why we want to bring it up here. It's funny because Francois posted that. I want to say it was like it was a while ago, and every year we go to SpiceWorld, someone's like, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know." And obviously because not everyone goes to the community, not everyone's always reading all the updates, and you're probably getting hundreds of thousands of your own user tickets. You're like, the Spiceworks people, they'll be there when we get to it. So yeah, just to be very clear, like the end of this year is end of life. Does that mean it will stop working? That's a hard one to answer. Uh, Officially, yes. For us, we're saying we are no longer supporting. It is a full end of life. Will January 1st it automatically blow up? No. The reason we announced end of life is very much because we know there are updates coming from other vendors that are going to break it. And we don't control their roadmaps anymore. Well, we don't control their roadmaps. They do control ours in some ways just because of things like this. But just want to be very clear that if for whatever reason you're planning on sticking on it with it, and we do recommend, either move to CHD, of course. I'm very biased, but if CHD isn't what you need, there are a lot of other great vendors out there. For me, I know, if I'm managing a help desk, I want to make sure I know it's going to be working the next day. But if for whatever reason we know there's some of you that are like, you can't take it till my hands are dead and you pry it from me kind of thing. Take it offline and test it and see if it's working for you. But officially we are saying, December 31st is the last day we officially support it. And you can blame me. It's all my fault.
Looking through right now, one of the more recent questions is actually regarding Power BI. That's something we talked about last year. I was just looking through the schedule just to see if there's anything specific for Power BI in terms of sessions. We didn't do a session specific to Power BI. We actually did do some last year, so I'll try to follow up and that was a question from Wesley. I can try to follow up and send you some information from what we talked about last year to at least get you started with Power BI.
Sorry, I'm looking on my monitor over here because that's where we have the Q&A up at.
I had some couple of questions which said people have been facing issues from migrating from on-prem to cloud, and would there be significant changes made to the new CHD so that you get all the features that you've been asking for in the on-prem? So regarding that, we have really knocked out some of the features which you guys have been asking over the past year or so, and we'll be continuing to incorporate changes into the Cloud Help Desk so that it is as closer as to the functionality of our on-prem version, and we'll make sure that you guys don't face any sort of issues while moving on, missing any functionality regarding that.
Tack onto that real quick. At the end of the day, we're never going to be full feature parity with legacy desktop, just to be clear. Like there are things that you have to remember where legacy desktop came from. It came from a different time, different era. There are features in there that even on the legacy desktop, only a handful of members actually ever used. So with CHD, especially as we're really, shoring up the foundation of it, the majority of things we're working on are the things that the majority of our members are going to use. And that's sort of why feature requests are very important to us. Obviously, we get a lot of feedback, in the chat here, we get in the community, we get in topics, but having people, really raise their hand and say, hey, this is a feature I need, and we can sort of, group that content all together in the feature request system, that's really, really helpful. And that's part of why, and they'll talk more about this in the CHD session, but like email templates, why we worked on user portal, the mobile app, things like that. Those are reasons that we're working on them, is because we see and hear a lot of the feedback for this.
Also, I see a question regarding extent will the help desk and inventory be integrated with the internal knowledge base? And I've been speaking to some users personally as well who have been having problems accessing the knowledge base as well as moving their knowledge base articles to the cloud, and we're constantly working on that issue as well, and we'll hope to bring a solution to you guys pretty soon regarding that.
Yeah,
because it's been a issue that's keep coming up of lately.
Another one, because I hate silence, so I'll keep talking. Sort of on the email templates thing, we always talked about. Much like with the user portal, when we get to that, we're going to take a similar approach where the first version is going to allow some basic customization. When we do work on that, we're not looking at doing like the full HTML. Part of the reason is there are a lot of people who use CHD who don't know how to build web pages. So we want to make it very user friendly. I know that's a weird thing to say to IT pros because different kind of users, but we want to make sure it's very friendly. It's not quite WYSIWYG friendly, but along those same lines, almost like what we did with the user portal. So just understand we work on the first version of it, and as we see how that's adopted, we see how that's request, much like the user portal. That's when we're going to start iterating on those features, and that's also part of the reason why you'll notice we're slimming down what we're working on. One of the challenges we have is you saw the team. We don't have 1 million members working on all of these products and services, and so the less things we can do, not only the better we can do them, but the quicker we can turn back around on them and do more of an iterative process. So instead of saying, hey, we did user portal this year, we'll touch it again in 3 years, we'll be able to work on these things a little bit quicker. Now there's silence.
One that we could probably answer live and be helpful a couple of people out. So there's a question from Gregory Burns. Is there a way to get inventory on more than one client's devices without having them all in one list? So it kind of depends. So we have the ability to do scanning of multiple multiple separate networks. So you can set up the scanning agent from inventory online, and that could be separate buildings, like separate networks that are all part of one client. That could be multiple clients. And the results from the scans from each of those scanning agents that you set up will show up as like different filters within inventory online. So that allows you to kind of distinguish between things that way. But if you're also using kind of the other half of that equation is using the collection agent, the collection agents is going to dump all of your information into kind of one big bucket of agents. And so we don't have a great way right now to differentiate those by client. We don't have a great way for you to like get all of your agents to load up into inventory online and be able to easily like filter your view based on which client they are. So that's something we would have to improve as time goes on. What else we got?
I was just testing it out. Fabian had brought up, and I already lost it because more questions came in, that they were saying that the links to the Play Store is broken on the documentation for the app. We'll definitely look into that. Yeah, and we'll follow up with links and everything, not just in this, but we'll do a post in the community, make sure everyone's like, hey, these are all the things we talked about. As we're talking about the mobile app alpha, the ticket view alpha, want to make sure everyone knows how to get into those quickly. So we'll make sure we do an update at the end of the event so everyone can not only keep up with it, but those who happen to miss the events also get informed.
The link in the documentation should take you, it's like a Android device friendly link, so it should take you like directly into the Google Play Store app on your phone. If you're doing it from desktop, it should just take you to a Google Play page. It uses a redirect, so it goes to a community redirect first. If that's not working though, try refreshing the page. We just dropped these links this morning, so it's possible you may have a slightly older version of the page if you were checking it out beforehand. And if that doesn't work, let us know.
So Robert had, and maybe I'm misunderstanding it, is there an email plugin for the help desk that would make it so much easier for users to submit tickets? as they just call or email, because going to the portal is, well, more steps. So Robert, there should be an email address in your, if you go to your user or your, not your user portal, your CHD instance and go under settings for that organization, you should see a link to an email that they can directly email to have tickets created.
See, there's another question about multi-tenancy or kind of the MSP type folks out there from Amir. So assuming, I kind of just talked about it for inventory, so just in case you're talking about or have questions about the Cloud Help Desk. So the way we approach multi-tenancy or kind of the MSP persona for Cloud Help Desk is the use of organizations. So you can, in the settings page in the Cloud Help Desk, if you look over on the left-hand side, there's a navigation there, and there's an organizations list. And so typically when you set up a new account, you're just going to have one organization. But if you do have multiple organizations or multiple departments within your organization or something like that, you can add separate organizations into that list, and then you'll have a separate email address and a separate web portal for each of them. The portals can be customized to adjust wording and colors and stuff like that. And then maybe kind of coming soon, later this year, early next year, something like that potentially. We're planning on allowing you to customize that email notifications as well. So that would allow you to set up kind of separate organizations with custom content, both for email and the web portal that your users would access. So that's kind of our approach there. So once you have multiple organizations set up in the Cloud Help Desk, as tickets flow in, as the IT pro from your side, you're just going to see them all enter the list, and then they'll be denoted by organization that they came in from. So that allows you to kind of distinguish them easily, and you can create like ticket views that are specific to each organization and that sort of thing to allow you to have separate workflows if you have different technicians that work on different clients and stuff like that.
There's two I want to hit real quick. One was by Oba. I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. I keep thinking Obi. I want to say Obi-Wan. I'm like, that's not his name. Is there a way to get the help desk to also send email updates if the help desk tech replies to a ticket from the portal instead of an email? The question there is, my assumption is you're referring to the end user getting the email updates, or are you talking about the help desk technician getting their own? If it's the latter, no, we currently don't have that function, and I don't think we have anything on the list for it. That said, I know we get this question semi-often, so if there's an appetite, I'll be cheesy. I'll point back to the feature request system. Like knowing these kind of things, one of the things we want to look at eventually, I'll say my famous soon, is sort of like the user roles and their permissions. We know we have a very rigid system right now, and eventually we do want to open that up a little bit. But in the meantime, no. The other one, Chris, are you testing in production? No. And Ben will be able to answer this and Siddharth a little bit better than I. The fun fact I'll say is this year, and you'll hear the same thing sort of in the community session, we've been doing a lot at slimming down our tech stack and upgrading it. Some of the things we've been using are we'll just say they were a little out of date. And as we're making some of these major leaps forward, it does break things. We do test in various test environments. The challenge is there is no test environment that is going to be the same as a production environment. We do our best to emulate that as much as possible, but users, they like to think of new things. We've had that one weird situation where someone was sort of getting in a loop process that was causing some issues. So as we're running across these, we're trying to squash them as much as possible. But our challenge is, and I'm assuming, most software, if not all software, like before when I worked in development, same thing. Production is always a special beast. And because of that, we run into unique situations. We do our best to make sure we're finding that in the testing, and we do find a lot of things in testing and address it there. But there are times where, it's that, or it's another system that really doesn't touch it, that's bringing load to a system now. We know how, the ripple effect can be. So no, we don't test in production for the most part, except for me. I'm that special person, and I try and leave that in community.
Great. So we need to wrap up. I know we're going over just a little bit. I wanted to real quick just make sure you had visuals for a couple of things we've already talked about in case you missed it. So go to settings in the Cloud Help Desk. If you're using the Cloud Help Desk, flip this toggle on, check out the alpha version of Cloud Help Desk. Once you flip this toggle on, just click tickets in the top nav there and you'll see the new experience. You can come back here and turn it off if you don't like it or if it doesn't have what you need. But please check it out. Give us your feedback. Here's links. These are the same links that are on that doc page. I know someone was having an issue with that, so just reach out to me if you need help getting access to that. You should also be able to find the Android version just by searching Google Play. It's public there, so you just need the link for iOS. So those are the two mobile apps that we talked about, and then shoot us an email if you do want to meet up. You can talk with Siddharth, myself, with Stephanie, one of our designers. Give us your feedback, kind of deep dive on how you use it, what you do with whichever the applications or all of the applications that you use. We just want, if you got 15 minutes, you got 30 minutes, just shoot us an email at this address, spiceworld1on2@spiceworks.com. We'd love to meet up with some of y'all. We may not be able to meet up with everybody depending on how many of you guys contact us, but anything else? I'm just trying to wrap up real quick.
The only last thing I'll say is, as you run into questions, just go to community.spiceworks.com/support. It'll show you the different areas. Obviously, pick the one that's most apt to you. We'll try to get them as quickly as possible, but we have a lot of great members such as Mainstrike, who sometimes they get to these questions answered much faster than we can. So that's always just your go-to. If you're having a question, you don't know how else to get in touch with someone, /support is your best friend. That's it for this session. Yeah. So catch everyone in the next. Yeah, have a great Spice World. Not good, great. A spicy Spice World.
Enjoy, guys.
Yeah.